Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Fabric Coffee session at Microsoft Fabric Cafe. My name is Mirdad Abdullah, the community leader of Microsoft Fabric Cafe. Today, we are with a great speaker, Amit Chandak. As always, let me just jump into my slides and see what we have for today. The 19th session of Fabric Coffee in 2024. Thank you, everyone, for your attention to the learning sessions that we have at our Microsoft Fabric Cafe, the community of actually a learning room and Microsoft Learn. Today, December 14, as always, at 8 a.m. Pacific time. We are at a Microsoft Learn community, a great and the richest community for actually a richest place for referencing for everything about Microsoft and Azure technologies, and you can just find thousands of pages related to these technologies and products from Microsoft. And then you can just find your learning paths actually to earn the certifications and just upskill yourself. And there are, of course, some learning rooms that you can join your peers and also the learn experts and the community, and based on your interest, whatever that you are interested in. There are various learning rooms that you can get support from learn experts and also other peers. Here is a actually short link, aka.ms/learning rooms that you can join, especially for Microsoft Fabric Cafe, which we are focusing on Microsoft Fabric. We talk about Fabric only. And we provide learning sessions and support to Fabric users in all levels. It is a forum for everyone to learn, share, and grow skills together. In the bottom, we've got our social links and the YouTube channel, which we have actually with the handle of at Microsoft Fabric Cafe. We have all the recorded sessions, all the past live that we had on our community. On our LinkedIn page, you can just follow us there. There's a QR code that is landing to that LinkedIn page that you can just find all the latest actually updates from the community. If there's any announcement on the sessions, or if there is any update from Microsoft Fabric or Microsoft Learn, you can just follow us there and being notified. And also the learning room, actually the tiny URL of joining the learning group of Microsoft Fabric Cafe and Microsoft Learn. There's a code of conduct that we've got in our community. Thank you in advance for actually adhering to these standards that we have. Thank you very much. I'm sure everyone is going to adhere to them. And if you haven't started your challenge yet, which we had from Ignite from Chicago 2024, it is going to be still there until the 10th of January. You can just get your free voucher for exam DP 600 by completing your challenge by then. These are some modules that you can learn about Fabric, and you can complete it, and then your voucher will be ready. In December, we've got 3 sessions. One of them was done for the last week. Juliana Smith. That was a great presentation. If you missed it, go to your go to the YouTube channel and watch the recording. And for today, we've got Amit. So let me invite him on the stage. Hey, Amit, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. So thanks for inviting me to the Microsoft Cafe. Fabric
Thank
Cafe.
you. Welcome to Microsoft Fabric Cafe. And Amit is one of the most active people in the communities. He's running amazing sessions in different communities, and he's doing actually Amit, you are doing a great job in the community, and whatever that is going to add value to the learners. You're doing great. Yeah, awesome. Amit, just a question. You're Microsoft MVP and also active in the community. How often do you check the Microsoft Learn site?
I think very often, every time some feature comes in, I think we have to go to the learn side and find out the documentation. And I think every time you search for any documentation, like if you're looking for details, again, we are guided to the Microsoft Learn site. So I think Microsoft Learn site is a great source. I think the documentation has greatly enhanced over last 1 year for Microsoft Fabric. And I think every day when I go in, I found out something new has come in and, something more to learn there.
Yeah, just for the latest, even latest updates, right? What's new? What's new for example, Microsoft Fabric, data engineering, or whatever. Cool. So I'm going to just hand over the session, but before that, guys, you can ask your questions in the chat. You know, and Amit is going to just pause in the mid of the session, and we can just ask the questions from him. If you have any question, feel free. If you want to say hi, feel free in the chat and say and then let's learn from Amit. I'm going to just share your screen, Amit, and hand over the session to you. Yeah, uh, stage is yours, and guys, enjoy your coffee at Microsoft Fabric Cafe with Amit. Catch you later.
Thank you. Thank you, Meher. Uh, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. You are there. I'm Amit Chandak, and today I'm presenting this Microsoft Fabric Direct Lake Semantic Model row level security session to you. So we are going to look into the details how we are going to secure our data in using the row level security which is available for Direct Lake Semantic Model. So my name is Amit Chandak. I'm a Microsoft Data Platform MVP. I'm also a Microsoft Power BI Community Super User. I work as a Chief Analytics Officer at Canary Inc. And I'm having 22 years of experience in data analytics area and continue to learn uh, as we go forward. So we will talk about today semantic models in Direct Lake. So when we got Microsoft Fabric, we got this new mode, which is a Direct Lake mode. So in the import mode, we had RLS previously already available. So what used to do is we used to create roles, and based on those roles, the security used to apply. And most common way of doing that was basically we used to create a role where we can do the static security, means we give some value and based on that we can secure, or we can have a table which have the data which can be secured, and for that we used to create a table with email IDs and the security, and then we used to join it. But when we came to direct lake mode, what happens is basically the security require a little different approach, because the semantic model, when you try to access a report, you use your single sign-on to access the semantic model. Now the semantic model try to access the lake house or warehouse data, it again uses the same single sign-on. It means the security need to be applied at the semantic model level, and the security need to be applied at the lake house level or warehouse level. We do have some ways where we can apply the security at the warehouse level, specifically using the T-SQL security. But in such cases, what could happen is basically it may fall back to direct query mode, which we don't want. So we want a method where we don't want to apply the security at the lake house or warehouse level. We actually don't want to apply the security because we don't want to give the access to the warehouse or lake house. So we don't want our end users to access warehouse or lake house. We only want to give them the access to the semantic model, and we should be able to apply RLS just we are doing as of today. So how do we do that? In Microsoft Fabric world, whenever you create lake house or warehouse, you get a SQL Analytics endpoint. In case of warehouse, its default is SQL Analytics endpoint. In case of Lakehouse, we have Lakehouse Explorer and SQL Analytics endpoint. And we also have a semantic model. That is a default semantic model. But most of the practical purposes, we are these days using custom semantic model or the semantic model which we create separately, not the default one. So we are going to learn how to do that and how to use that. Now, what is RLS? So basically what happens is when you have an organization where you have the data, sometime everybody in the organization cannot see the entire data. So we want to limit the data based on the policy in the organization. So north would be seen by some people, south would be seen by some people, or these product would be seen by product A team, product B would be seen by product B team, and so on. So we limit the access, and this access applied at the row level. That is why you have the row level security coming in place. So we are securing the data for each and every row what you can access or what end user can access. So let's say if I say country region equal to Australia, so the users will only be able to see the data of Australia if I give that role to the end users. Now we talked about one model. We talked that we want the end users to have access to semantic model but not to have the access to the lake house or the warehouse. Now, to do that, what we have to do is we have to actually create a linkage between warehouse and lake house, which is not dependent on our single sign-on. So that is where we use the identity, fixed identity. So what we do is we have this semantic model, and in the setting of the semantic model, it shows a connection with the lake house or warehouse as a single sign-on. We go ahead and change it to fixed identity. Now, once the connection has been changed to fixed identity, we can able to see the entire data, because the fixed identity which we are going to use is going to be of a user who have access to everything in the data. It means now semantic model have access to everything. But the user which is coming on single sign-on, his security doesn't apply. Means whatever he security is applying is only applying till the semantic model access. So if we give them the lakehouse or warehouse, they will be able to see the entire data. Now at this stage, when you have used the identity login, you can disable their access on lakehouse and warehouse. So we don't need to give them lakehouse and warehouse. We can only give them semantic model. Now semantic model is communicating with our lakehouses and warehouses using a different login, which is identity login. Now any RLS now which you apply, which is very similar to what you have done in Power BI in the past, any RLS which you apply will get applied in the direct lake semantic model, and the data will get filtered. So we don't have to use the RLS which is on the SQL endpoint, because that has a fallback to direct query mode, which we don't want. But the fixed identity can resolve it, because in that case, we are only giving access to the semantic model, and after semantic model, there is no access. The end user is not looking into it. Yes, that identity column identity login can look into the warehouse and lakehouse, which is transparent to the end user, and they are controlled by the security in the semantic model now. Now, how do we define the roles? As you are aware that now we can edit our Direct Lake semantic models into the Power BI desktop, or we can also do it in web. So under the modeling tab, we have manage roles, and add new roles is there in the Power BI desktop. In case of web modeling, we have manage roles under the home tab, and we can use the add new role, which we are also going to check in some time. Now, this is my current model. I have a sales table joined with item, customer, and geography. And I do have a table which contain my RLS information, the row level security information for the brands. We are going to look into the data of those tables. And then we are going to implement this. So for implementing, what we have to do is we have to set up RLS. We have to set up the identity login, and we will check the advantage of that identity login, that how can we disable the access to the lakehouse or the warehouse. And we want to see RLS in action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump onto the Microsoft Fabric, and the URL which I'm using for today is app.powerbi.com. You can also use app.fabric.microsoft.com, which will also take you to the Fabric experience, and from there you can choose respective experience. Now, Let me bring in the window where I have this URL app.powerbi.com. Now, before I go into the details of the session and showcase you what we are going to do is, I just wanted to check if there is any question someone want to ask before I start this.
There's no question so far, Amit. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Fine. So what I'm going to do is today I'm going to go to the workspace, a common workspace which I'm using for most of my demo. So on the left hand side, and let me make this window a little bigger. I think this is too small. Let's see if I can. Okay. So workspaces, and inside the workspaces, I will use 01GA fabric. I have most of my data inside the 01GA fabric. Let me remove the filter. I was working on SQL databases. So now from here, I'll go on the right hand side top, and here I'll try to filter some of the one of the lake house. Let's look at that. Type lake house. So I have this lake 01, lake 02, lake 03. So many lakes are there. Let's look at lake 01. Okay, so here what I have is I have a model which I have showcased you. So I have a sales table, as you can see. I have a item table, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to, let's say, SQL Analytics endpoint, so we can quickly query these tables. So I have shifted from the top. Okay, it doesn't shift. Just one second. Still loading. We are now on SQL Analytics endpoint. So other than the table I discussed, I have this table which is brand RLS, where I have the row level security setup. So as you can see, I have given access to Amit and MSSQL at canarica.com. These are the IDs where I have access, the complete access and default access. And then I have this item table. Let's look at the 100 rows for that. The sales warehouse table. Let's look at the 100 rows of that also. And we have, I think we can work with these two. So I have item table, and this is my sales table. So sales warehouse table, which I have, and I have item table, and I can join my item which contains the brand with the RLS table, and I would like to secure that. So based on this particular schema, which is the part of the schema which I wanted to try, I'm going to want to secure my information. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a custom semantic model. To do that, I'll go to reporting, and I'll click on new semantic model. I'll click on new semantic model, and I'll call it custom RLS 03. And from here, I'm going to bring in three tables which I'm interested in today: brand RLS, item, and sales WH. And let me click on confirm. If there is no pop-up blocker, it will open a new semantic model into the new window, and we should be able to use that to create the relationship and take the next step. So I'm just waiting on that to create. My semantic model is opening now, the custom semantic model which I've created now, and it will have only three tables. Seems like it has only two. Okay, let's go to the edit mode. So seems like we missed out one table, so I'm just trying to add that. So the way to add any missing table is you have edit table. Once you open your data model, click on edit table, and then you open your schema again, and then you can add one. Confirm. Click on confirm, and it will add the table. So what is the relationship between the sales and the item? It is item ID versus item ID. Sales is on the many side and item is on the one side, so I can switch the relationship. Or sometime what you can do is try to drag it from the many side to one side. It always does a better job. It detects it as on the many side and one side. So now save the relationship. Now before I go ahead and get into the details of RLS, I just wanted to check whether this is working fine or not. So I can click on this new report in the middle of the screen and check that out. So I click there, and let me create a report item which is brand, and from the sales warehouse let me bring in quantity, sum of quantity, and this is working fine. I'm going to save this report, and I have a RLS schema basically where I'm saving it, workspace. So this is the workspace where I have also given access to the other user. So I'm going to save here, and we are going to call it test RLS report 5, and we will go to the other user and check that out also in some time. So the report is ready, which we can use for the security on the new semantic model. I clicked back onto the previous tab and came back here where I can now start working on my security. So I have this table where I have the email IDs and the brand, and I'm going to create a relationship between brand and brand. So brand of item and brand of RLS. So RLS table contain all the email IDs and the brand I have access. So this relationship is going to be many to many because item has many brand. The brand all table also have many brands, and I always prefer a single directional filter from brand table, the table which contains the email. So in this case, brand RLS table contains the email, and from the email table, it's going to filter the dimension table, and the dimension table is going to filter the fact data. So it's going to filter the dimension as well as dimension is filtering fact, so it's going to filter the fact. So we click on the save. So now the relationship has been created, but there is nothing secure right now because we are not filtering anything. Now to filter that, we need to start creating the roles. This is the process is the same what we used to do in Power BI. We have to create role. So we in the middle of the screen, when you open your schema, you have this manage roles near to the calculation group, which is going to create security in Power BI. So I create a manage roles and I'll create a new role here. So plus button is going to create a new role. I can rename it. I can call it RLS Cafe because we are creating for the Fabric Cafes, and the security is created. The role is created. Now we need to secure. So how we are going to secure? We are going to brand RLS, which contains the email, and in that one we'll add the plus sign and we'll get here email. Email equals to user principal name. I can switch to the Dex editor. I'm comfortable writing there. So I clicked on the button on the top, and now email is equal to user principal name. This is going to give us me the email. So what is happening? I will my brand RLS table will filter based on the email ID. That email ID contains a brand, and that brand is going to filter the brand item table based on the brand, and then it's going to filter the sales table. So entire schema which is connected in this hierarchy will get filtered. So let me click on the save. So now role is created. Now this role also need to be assigned to a user and also need to be tested. But right now, understand, right now still there is a single sign-on factor is available. So the end user, if I only give him the end user a report, he might not be able to access it. So let's go ahead and see, is the end user able to access? So what I'm going to do here is let me open a new private window, and hopefully I remember the password. So I'll try to log in into that other user in a new app window, and let me see. One second, I need to use my authenticator.
Amit, you're unmute, I think, or because I cannot hear you.
It was
Uh,
asking for the authenticator and I muted myself. Okay, it is forcing me to change the password. Hopefully, let's see. Give me a second. It's forcing me to change the password. So I'll try to log in into the other user. Okay, so the other user is also ready. Now let's look at the workspace which we have for the other user. So this is the workspace, access RLS, and let's see does he have access to the report 5. We are able to see the report 5, and you cannot see the content of the report because you don't have permission to underlying dataset. Please contact your dataset owner for the request access. Okay, so we don't have access, we are not able to access. So why don't we go ahead and give the access to the semantic model to this particular person? So we go back to the other Power BI window, the one where we have the role, and let's go to our workspace. So we are in our workspace on a separate window. I kept my data model also open on the other window, and here I would like to now see my semantic models. So I go ahead and filter on my semantic models. So let me filter the semantic model. This is custom semantic model, so I have to use only semantic model. Now here we have the semantic model name is custom RLS3, which is the new one, and you can see there's a small sign for the newer one here. Now let's go to the three dots, ellipse sign, and settings or manage permission. First of all, I want to give the permission, so I'll go to manage permission. And in the manage permission, I would like to add the user, and modify dataset is off, recipient to share the semantic model is off. It can build the report. I would like to give that build permission, MSSQL. So let me give him the permission, grant access. So I've granted the access. I'll go back, and let's go back and see that user. After I given the permission, is that user still able to access this report or not? So we go back to the other user. We are on another window, and let's refresh this. Now we have given the access. We would like to see whether he is able to open the report, or do we get an error that underlying data we don't have access. Okay, the report can't be viewed because the underlying data set user level security. So we are still not able to view because we also not have given access to the underlying data, the entire data, the the lake. We have not given any access. So let's go back. Now we will go back to the settings of this custom RLS03, ellipse sign, three dots, settings, and now go back here, gateway and cloud connection. What is the strategy right now? Single sign-on. Now, anything below it will also use single sign-on. So I need to give access to the lake or to the warehouse to give the access, which I have not given. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this tie and create a new tie between the lake house and the semantic model, or it may be warehouse and semantic model. We want to create a new tie. So I'll use this create connection option under the settings, under the gateway and cloud connections, the cloud connection. And it will open a new connection for me, and I'm going to call it RLS Fabric Cafe connection. We are creating it today, and authentication mode is going to be OAuth 2, and it will ask for credentials. So we'll click on the open. I click on the pop-up and try to sign in. Once I sign in, it will show this green sign. It means I'm signed in. I'll keep rest of the options as is and click on create. Once this connection is created, it will take us back. Now, remember, this is created using my login and I am admin on this workspace. It means no RLS is going to apply to me. Everything is going to be, I have access to everything. It will, even if you try to apply some security, it will not apply because I am admin. And that's the Power BI stuff. If you have admin access on the workspace, you will get the data access to the entire data. Okay. So now as an admin, the user which is having admin access on this workspace, that is the user who's now going to connect and used as an identity user. So I have created an identity login using my admin user, and that identity login is now connecting with the data which is there in the lakehouse. So this is what we call identity login, and we have created now an identity login which is going to connect us with the lakehouse. What is the impact of that? Let's see. Are we still able to see the report for this user? So we will refresh and check it out. Is this user, which is current user Amit, which is my own login, is he able to access? Yes. What happens to the other user which was on the private window? Let's see. Is this user able to access now? We refresh it. So this user is not been assigned to security. We have to understand this is a viewer of the workspace. It has not been assigned to any role. That's why it is not able. We'll try once more. We'll go back to the workspace. We want to make sure that, okay, all the aspect we are covering. So I go back and saying the report cannot be viewed because we have not added it to RLS. So how to add a user to RLS? Now this is a viewer of a workspace. So even though this semantic model have access to everything, this user is not able to see because it has not been added to any roles. So if I don't have a role, it will be able to access. So let's go back to our semantic model. Now in this semantic model, now we are going to assign. So from here itself, I can assign. So this was also available from the workspace onto the ellipse sign, the three dots, and you have the security option. And we can also use this option. And here I'm going to assign it to MS SQL user. And I'm going to add this user. So I've added this user now to the security. Let me click on the save. So the user has been added to the security, and it's restricted by my table brand RLS to have access, limited access. Let's go back and check on the other user. Do we have access? So this user have limited access. It's not seeing all the 10 brands. It's only seeing the limited number of brands because we have restricted the access to the limited number of brands. Now, before I move forward, we can take up a few questions. Mehab, do we have any question?
No question so far. No,
Okay.
there's only a comment from Venkata. Great going, Amitri.
Thanks, Venkat.
And there is a question here actually, which says, does this work with dynamic RLS?
Yes, so I think the scenario which I'm discussing is the dynamic RLS. I have not discussed the static RLS scenario. So I'll go to this report and I'll showcase you. Let me go to the edit mode and showcase you my brand table, what entries I have. So let me drag the brand and let me drag the email. So basically, if you see, this is controlled by the email and the brand. So I've created a table, and based on that table, this is going to be controlled. So this is the one method where we have the email ID and the brand which is there. That's the one way to create a role. Other way which we use is the static method, where we have the static security. So what you do, you click on the manage roles, you click on new role. So you can go here and click, let's say role is static role. And what you can do is you can go to the item table itself, new brand, and you can use in, and then you can add, let's say, different brands, brand 1, brand 2, and so on. So in that manner you can create a static one. In this case, what happens when I assign this particular role to the end users, they will have access to these particular security, these particular values, brand 1 and brand 2. So this is static in nature. So we are right now using the dynamic one. Okay.
Uh, Amit, there's another question coming up here. While migrating a legacy Power BI report to above Direct Lake RLS, is there any automated way, or we have to replicate all this manually?
So we have this semantic lab library from um, um, I'm Michael Kolinsky, who he has given that library, and using that library, you should be able to migrate all your import mode model to Direct Lake, and I'm assuming that should migrate your security roles also. And there is another way. There's a little tricky way, but by taking care some of the aspect, you can even use the what we have this ALM toolkit, but ALM toolkit doesn't migrate your roles. In that case, you have to migrate your roles manually. So
Awesome.
semantic lab library should help you out. There is a great documentation available around that. If you search for that, you should be able to get that, and that's available on GitHub along with the code how to implement that.
Cool. I hope you got your answer. And Data Blender says thank you. Cool. Yeah. You keep going.
So let me close it. Click on don't save. Yeah, Sampa is a library, and there is a semantic lab library on top of it. Let me see if I can give you the connection if I have handy. Semantic lab. That's a prereq. Just one second. Semantic link lab. I'm giving you the URL of the top library, and there are videos around that. Michael has actually done a lot of videos on that on various forums. Where can I share the URL?
Amit, you can maybe share it in the private chat. I will just send it to the our YouTube channel, in the chat,
Okay,
and also
hold on.
I will
I got,
copy that for the
I
link.
got yeah, I got the private chat. So this is the one, and there is a video also available how to do that. And I have seen there is a very good code available how to do the complete migration. And this contains many things. So just look for the migration of direct import mode to Direct Lake. That will help you out.
Cool. And there's a question here, while you're answering the questions. Hello, I'm new to Power BI. Does RLS apply only to user?
So basically there are various kind of securities which you need for end user. One is basically you don't want to give the report. That's one kind of security. I don't give the access to the report itself. That is where we have the workspace. That is where we have the app, uh, where you can control what you are giving to the audiences. So you might not give access to all the reports in the workspace. You can control it by app or by assigning individual report. Best way is app create audiences and give the access. Now the second way is basically then you need to object level security. We call it OLS. Right now OLS is not directly available either in Power BI or Fabric. We have tabular editor using which we can apply OLS. OLS means you don't want to give access to one particular column. But sometime when you use OLS, it start giving error. So what we do is we actually go ahead and code OLS into a measure and we stop the access of those things. But there are various ways you can do that. But OLS is available. So actually, the semantic model supports it. It's the only thing the Microsoft has not given a UI. This was same case with calculation group up to some time back, that the Microsoft has not given the UI. The semantic model was supporting calculation group, and you need to use the tabular editor for that. Now comes this third type of security, which is row level security. Now row level security is basically to reduce the data. So basically rows of the data. So now this is not the meta security. It's not that I completely not give a report or I don't give a column. I give everything, but I don't want to give rows access. So my rows contain all the brands, all the 13 brands I have. But to the user two, I only want to give brand 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And remember, it is not the brand which is getting secure. Everything in the item table is going to secure. So when I look at the item, those item will also secure. I look at category, those category will also get secure. And I look at any other dimension also, every time that filter will get applied. So every time I'm looking at data, my data is actually cut down to those 5 brands. So this is what is happening in RLS, so row level security. So you have various levels. Now, other than that, there are other more security aspect, like we have sensitivity label and all those. So that can also be applied. But I think primarily we can say the meta security, which is basically the complete report or the columns or the tables, and the data security, which is RLS.
Awesome. And before handing over to you, we've got the links in actually on both LinkedIn, the link that Amit shared with us. Thank you, Mamata, for sharing, and on LinkedIn. Yeah, and thank you. Yeah, over to you, Amit.
Okay. Now, what happens when you are done this kind of security? You like right now, I have an access to a particular user, so I can go ahead and secure this or check this out. Okay, this particular user is not getting, but that's not going to be the case in an organization that you have access to every other user's login and you can go ahead and check your security. So you need a way to check that. So for that, what you need to do is you need to go back to your workspace, and this is same as what we have in the Power BI. So go to the workspace, and we have a shortcuts here actually. I don't have to every time open that. So everything which we open have the shortcuts. Typically 10 shortcuts is the limitation. If you're more than 10, some of the things may not open. They do give an error that you have opened too many things. So now I use this shortcut here, and I came back here. Now I'll go to the left sign or the 3 dots, and here we have an option security. Now sometime when you go for very first time, it may not work. Now there are two things which is required to work. I need to have a report in this workspace where my semantic model is there to test that out. So right now my report is not in this workspace, and that's going to pose a challenge. So if I click on these 3 dots, which is my role, and test as role, uh, the test role does not work with single sign on, please try or contact support later. So it may give error. So it may not be refreshed properly, or I might not have assigned the user, or that could be the reason, or the report is not there. So let me go ahead, and this test 5 report, I will go here and I'll try to save as a copy of this report into this workspace also. So 01GA fabric test RLS fabric cafe demo report. So let me save this report in this workspace, and let's see, did I get access to it? Okay, so we go back here, we refresh this. So role is there, assignment is there, access is there. Let's see, and you're able to see the report now. Let's see, does it show any data? Right now it's not showing data. So viewing as, so we have to select a person, email ID. So let me select the person, apply. Okay, not working. Let me apply it to myself. Let's see. Still some issue is there. Okay, let's refresh it once more. So only one report is there, then it doesn't ask to choose you the report. When there is more than one report in the same workspace, it do ask you to choose. Some issue is there. Still, let's see. Let's uncheck that. Okay, we can't uncheck. Uncheck. Okay, so I think right now I'm facing some issue. Let me do one thing. I do have some other data sets here, so we'll see if we can do that on those custom data sets. Test as role. One more attempt. Select person. Okay, it's not working. So we go to the workspace, back to the workspace. Let's see. I do have some other custom semantic models, so try to see if we can use check identity, security, test as role. We'll do one more attempt. Meanwhile, you can ask the questions. I think sometimes it does happen that it takes a little time to reach to that UI, and it may not work as expected. But I've shown you the other user how to test it. I'm just trying if I can showcase you for this particular user. I'll do one thing. I'll check out the one other report and the semantic model for that, where I can showcase you the same stuff. Let's look at this report. View item lineage. So it's coming from RLS SM1. So let's see if we can use RLS SM1. #001 Global Fabric Conference. Okay. So we go here, security, and let's test as a role. Let me see. Test report 4. I think some issue with my system, my login today. It's not showing, I think, for the other one which was previously working, which I saved for you. Hopefully this one will come out. No access. Select role, apply. Okay, seems like some issue today. So it's not working, but you should be able to check the security using that. That's the way. So these are the few steps. You have to create a role, you have to assign it, and you have to change your connection to identity login. And the thing which I actually wanted to show, if you look at the users which I have for my lake house or the warehouse, so lake house 001, what all users have access to that? Because right now we have given the permission on the semantic model. So is it that I have given permission also on the lake house? So this particular user is a permission needed for that. So lake 01, I go to the manage permissions, and it has all the users, but it doesn't have that MS SQL user. So that particular user doesn't have an access to it. And in spite of that particular user not having access, we are able to see the data via semantic model because of identity login, and able to secure the data for this particular user because of the RLS which we have used at the semantic model. So no access for this user. If you go even to the workspace level of this user, you don't see any workspace access. We don't have GA10 fabric. But in spite of that, if you give a read permission and let's say you don't give a workspace, there's a way users can see. And that's where, it's a little tricky. You may think, okay, I give a read permission and then user will not be aware that they have access because we have not given the workspace access. They can see everything assigned to them here. Okay. So if you have assigned any lake house like lake 01 from where it is coming from 003 training, look at this. So I have assigned lake 03, so it's coming here from 003 workspace, training workspace. So it means if you even give a read permission and if you have not given workspace, see, I don't have given any workspace here. 003 read training is there, but there are chances that if I am not given a workspace like this warehouse 001 or something, it may be coming from some place, even though they don't have access here, they might be able to see these things just because they have access to that particular lake house or warehouse. You might have given read permission without giving the workspace. So just be careful that if you're thinking that single sign-on is going to take care of that, and we give the read permission on the lake house or warehouse, and then allow the single sign-on kind of a login, not using the identity, and user will not be able to reach to the data. They can reach it using the OneLake hub. So in the OneLake hub, they will be able to see, though there is no access via workspace. So because of that, it is always advisable that you go to the identity login path. So you've seen now the demo RLS in action, and what we are going to do here is I'm open to the questions, and then I also have one question which, if you ask, there are prizes for answering that, and Meher is going to talk about that.
Cool. Thank you very much, Amit, for your great presentation. And sometimes I do like to have issues, when we are live, that the expert, that is presenting, just which points you are going to double check, right? And how you're gonna resolve it. It is what maybe learners can just align themselves with the real situation. It is not always working, right? It is not, you know sometimes some speakers, I see, they chose to have the recorded videos. They say, hey, and sometimes the demos are not working, and the system is not working as expected. So we prefer to have the recorded one. But for the live sessions, I do like it, that learners, sometimes learners are working and say, hey, my RLS or something is not working when I want to do that, right? How do you do it correctly? So it is good to just have some situations like this, that you're gonna just actually look for the solution. You can just search on the community, the blogs that are in the community, and ask your peers, have you experienced this issue? Or it is, the meaning of the community, right? We are just helping each other to resolve the problems. So if there is any question, please feel free, put it in the chat. I don't have any new questions here for you, Amit. Uh, Otherwise, maybe we can go for one or two questions from Amit, from attendees. Uh, You're gonna answer that, and the winner will be, actually the resolver will be gifted by a Microsoft exam voucher, 50% off on the exam voucher. And yeah, let's see. Amit, you can just write your question if you have it in your slide. Share it. If not, you can write it in the chat, and then it will be shown on the. Uh,
Yeah, I have a question on the slide, so I'll showcase that slide. Just give me.
before uh, doing that, there is a question from Isaac. Should I have a workspace with users before using RLS?
Should I have a workspace with users before using the RLS? So my typical implementation, what I usually do is my reports are always in a separate workspace. If you might have noticed this time also that I have a workspace which is separate, and at least in that workspace I made my other user as viewer. Sometime what happens is in that workspace I have the reports, I may not even have given access, I will just go and give the access at the app level. And when you give the access at the app level, you do get access to the underlying semantic model. So that could be another way you can give it. Now having a separate workspace is also needed, because in that particular workspace you can because what happens, viewer can't save a report. We can give the build permission. Now with security we can give build permission. This is one change which has a open happened over a period of time, that I can build report but I still have the security, because the RLS is getting still applied with the build permission. So I have given the build permission on the semantic model, but I cannot save it unless I have a permission which is kind of a little higher than the viewer. So I have to get a member role or a other role on that workspace. So what we can do in this case, when the report is saved in some other workspace, I can give that permission. I can make them member, or I can make them admin on that workspace. So they will be able to save the report and edit the report. So once they edit the report, means they can access the semantic model. They are able to see that into their OneLake. Now on that, when they create a report, they will be able to save it in that workspace. And because my semantic model is not in that particular workspace, my workspace permission will not disturb my permission on the semantic model. So my always advice would be, have the semantic model separate, have the report workspace separate, and in that workspace you create an app, and in that app give your end user access via audience option. And for that audience option you can also use the security groups or email enabled security lists.
Cool. And a question from Mamata. Will dynamic RLS affect the performance of reports? Great question.
Little bit of it, because definitely you're adding one more table, but it should reduce the data ultimately. So should shouldn't impact much. But yes, if it is really complex where you created thousands of rows, there could be a little impact. So we need to be a little careful while if the RLS table is too big, and if your actually dimension is too big, then RLS table is going to be really big. So that's where we are applying security at brand, not at item level. Because at item level, if I allocate all the 55 items, or let's say if one organization have 1000k items, look at the size of the RLS table. And that size of a table in such scenarios where we have many to many relationship, going down to a fact table is going to definitely have little challenges on your performance. So always have to consider that thing when we are creating these kind of securities.
Amit, I've got a question for you, related to this RLS. So for the RLS, you are basically connecting, actually, you have one additional table with the users, and everything is there. So that user column as a, let's say, primary key is going to be linked to the fact table only, or you're going to connect it to the dimensions as well? Or what is the best practice here, when you're connecting your RLS table, your users table, you're going to connect it only to the fact table? And when you do that, or the dimension data is also going to be shortlisted and will be controlled based on what you have in your fact table?
So usually the RLS table are actually linked to the dimension table. We don't usually directly put into the fact table, because if you're putting it into the fact table, it means the fact table itself has that dimension value. So most of my examples, I have a dimension table, so which is, let's say, this, in this case, item. So if I reorganize it a little bit, you will be able to check it out, and this is to be here. So this is how my structure look like right now. So I have, so this is kind of becoming a snowflake schema, no more star schema, where I have the brand table, which is filtering the item table, and brand RLS table is having the security via the email. It's filtering the item, and an item is filtering the fact table. Now, item may be connected with purchase table, finance table, and everything. Each and every fact which is connected with the item is going to get filtered out because of the brand RLS. So it need to be connected with that flow. Sometime it's one of the question is, how do I avoid a RLS on a one particular table? You can't avoid, actually, as long as that's connected with the dimension. So I want to create a all dimension kind of a benchmarking value. Then I have to create a fact which doesn't join with the item table, and that can join with everything else other than the item table. And I will not have item dimension, I will have item all there, and in that manner it will get filtered out for that particular user, so it will be able to get all the values. Then there are other one also, that you have create an item with all or other, and that item has all the value, but actually that can you have a little means you, for that also you need to create a table intermediate which have all the values, and it gets summed up. So it adds an additional level, and it may slow down because of, again, many to many relationship. So it's always, if you don't want to secure, make sure that it doesn't fall into the entire security structure. So right now, anything which is going to connect with item is going to fall into the security structure of RLS, because the item is getting filtered, and the moment I pushed the RLS, it's always going to be filtered.
Okay, thank you. So, Amit, I think we can go with your question at this time. The question for attendees, and let's see who is going to be actually resolve the question or answer that.
So what type of connection we are going to prefer in case of fabric? Fastest finger first. Easy question.
Let me just overlay the comments here. Then we can have a live.
And while you are answering that question, who's our answer first? The error which I'm getting is a very common error, and it actually comes in. So anything which we miss as part of this setup, it may come, but usually it get resolved. We refresh it, or we sign out and sign in, it goes away. But yeah, today it did not work for the other one, which is already existing. But that's a very common issue which we face.
No. Chenmei says direct lake mode is preferred in Fabric.
Yes, that's the correct answer, and I think he is the one who's answered it first.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. But yeah, we also have the answer from Isak, but Chinmay was the first. Cool, awesome. We have at least a winner. We are looking for the winners. We are looking for people who are going to uh take the exams, right? Write for the exam, take it, and achieve the certifications, and then let's celebrate together. Just Chinmay, send me a message by in learning room, or even you can just contact us and via our LinkedIn page for Microsoft Fabric Cafe. So we can just send you the voucher. Amit, thank you very much for your great session again, and thank you for presenting at Microsoft Fabric Cafe. Uh, it's like a no internet issue. Yeah, so the problem, there's sometimes, the delays between the platforms, but that is why I just overlaid the answers and actually chat in the screen. But thank you very much, everyone, for attending this live session. Let me just quickly go back to my slides. And today's session with Amit is completed. Thanks everyone for attending. It is going to be available immediately on our YouTube channel. If you joined late, feel free to rewatch it, or if you want to if you missed any part of that, if you want to learn more about it, feel free to rewatch it and share with your friends, whoever is interested in this topic and in the other topics in Microsoft Fabric. And we will wrap up 2024 with next week's session with Andy Cutler on December 21st. And then we'll give you some rest for the holidays, but keep learning and enjoy the your holidays. Uh, and stay tuned with our YouTube channel and LinkedIn page, and also the learning room, joining the learning room. And don't forget about the Microsoft Learn Challenge. It is a great opportunity for just upskill yourself and get the free voucher for exam DP 600 when you pass it. Just let's celebrate together, right? And there are some comments here, Amit, for you, Robert from YouTube. Thank you. Great session from Mamata, and fantastic session. Thanks everyone for joining. Mamata, thank you, and also Isaac, thank you, guys. Thanks everyone. Amit, if there's anything to add, feel free. If not, we can wrap up the session, and wishing the guys a great weekend.
Nothing from my side. Thanks a lot. Thanks, Mahat, for inviting me for this Fabric Cafe session. Um, and thank you, everyone who has attended, taken out time on a weekend. Thanks a lot. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
Have a good one. Cheers.